loved that effect just there. It was almost like a boomerang flying back at you. Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. I am Molly, and in this video I'm going to be listening to the album Cowboys From Hell by Pantera. Now I am just starting to get into Pantera's music here on my channel, and so far I've only heard their 6th studio album, Vulgar Display of Power, which I absolutely loved. That album was crazy. It brought so much intensity to it, and I figured I would go back one album in their discography to their 5th studio album, Cowboys From Hell, and yeah, just check this one out and see what I'm going to think of it. Alright, so getting this album started is the title track, Cowboys From Hell. I love that bass. It's bringing so much weightiness already to this song. I love too how they keep stopping the track so suddenly. I love the tone too to these guitars. There's such a clearness to them. Such a blood-curdling scream that was, man. Well, that was track 1, Cowboys From Hell. A very fun way to get that album underway, that's for sure. That one had so much energy, it definitely packed a punch. Like I mentioned, how they kept stopping that song all of a sudden, it just kind of gave it this jarring quality, and the vocals definitely added to that too. There was so much intensity to them, almost a screechy tone. And something kind of haunted, a little bit eerie about that song. In a way, it weirdly was reminiscent to me of Avenged Sevenfold, just a little bit with the theatrical vocal delivery and everything. But moving on to track 2 is Primal Concrete Sledge. This song is so interesting. It's like the vocals are really pushed into the background. Man, there's so much heaviness to this one. Just with how they're delivering these instrumentals, like there's so much weightiness to their sound. That was track 2, Primal Concrete Sledge. Such an interesting sound to that one. The effect they were doing, it almost had this muffled quality with how they were pushing those vocals more into the background. And yet again, so much heaviness. The bass on that one was really shining through. They just had such a heavy quality to the sound of those instrumentals. Moving on to track 3 is Psycho Holiday. Absolutely love how their lead vocalist has this great delivery to his voice, and every once in a while he'll just absolutely scream out a certain word, and it really catches you off guard. And then the guitars kind of mimic that too, with how they'll do that screechy effect. Cool percussion right there, how they did that. This song is just all over the place. They're bringing all kinds of different levels of intensity to it. That was track 3, Psycho Holiday. That track was crazy in how it was oscillating so much between these highs and lows. At points, it almost had this sludge quality to it. And then they would just take it up to these extreme highs. It was almost like you were on a roller coaster ride or something. Just all of that contrast, it almost gives you whiplash, like all this back and forth that they do. It's so much fun. But moving on to track 4 is Heresy. Again, they just stop it so suddenly. I loved that effect just there. It was almost like a boomerang flying back at you. There's some really cool percussive stuff they're doing right here. I don't know what that there just was. Some weird sound from the guitar. That was track 4, Heresy. A very speedy, rapidly delivered song, especially toward the end there. It was just like picking up pace. I loved his vocal delivery too on certain words. When he would say heresy, or there was another time he said the word parasite, and he would just scream it out with so much intensity. There's this awesome, smooth, kind of speedy quality to Cowboys From Hell, but they do keep infusing on all of these really unexpected change-ups that just are so entertaining for the listener. All right, up next is track 5, which is called Cemetery Gates. I just heard some really subtle tones in the background that were so cool. They almost had this electronic tone to them. Yep, I was anticipating that moment for all of this energy to flood in. Yeah, there's such a beautifully clear tone to this song. I'm loving the bass on this one. It's really shining through at these more pulled in parts. I can't live in the past. It belongs to me at last. Through all those complex years. I love the combination of the melodic and the harsh with this one. Those verses are so beautiful. They're very smooth. And then this chorus just brings so much punchiness to it. Okay, all of a sudden this song just picked up speed quite noticeably. That was track 5, Cemetery Gates. They really captured an amazing atmosphere on that one. I loved just how open it was. Like I mentioned, it had this really amazing clearness to it. And then at the end too, I thought that was fantastic how he was saying the word gates with so much intensity and his vocal range kept going up and up. And they were mimicking that with the guitar too. Man, that was just so much fun the way they ended that track. Okay, moving on to track 6 is Domination. I I really love the rhythmic pattern that Pantera always implements with their music. It's got this really strong pocket almost that they fall into, but then they will pull you out of that all of a sudden, and it just brings so much surprise to the listener. These vocals, man. Great bass right here. I love that tone it has. What is that noise in the background? It's like this really muffled, kind of distorted pounding. That was track 6, Domination. Definitely an appropriate track title. That one just dominated you with so much intensity. Man, especially at the end there, it was like this driving rhythm. And I'm just finding on this album, Pantera is doing such an amazing job of fusing this beautiful smoothness. Like there's such a precision to their playing, and yet they're changing it up so much too, and they're bringing so much heaviness as well. There's like this streamlined polishedness to their music, but then they bring all of that intensity too. But moving on to track 7 is Shattered. Man, I love his vocal tone on this one. There's like weirdly something almost operatic about it. It's like machine gun fire going off with how rapid that guitar is being delivered. Certainly an interesting ending to that one, like glass breaking, but that was track 7, Shattered. What really stood out to me on that one was the vocal delivery. They were just so immense. Like the way he can kind of open up his voice is really impressive to me. He brings so much intensity, but there's almost this beautiful, like I mentioned, operatic element to it, just with how high he takes it, and it's so clear and precise as well. It's really incredible. Moving on to track 8 is Clash with Reality. Alright, we've got some interesting ambient sounds going on here. It sounds like police sirens and then someone talking over a megaphone. Yeah, see, right there, again, it has that sort of nu metal aspect to its sound. Like this really quick, kind of in the groove vocal delivery, if that makes sense. All right, we got some funkiness coming in now. That was track 8, Clash with Reality. The beginning was really interesting, how that one started with all those ambient sounds and then it just built up from there. The bass too was really shining through on that one. I loved how it pulled it down and it almost gave it this sort of funky quality at times too. And I've noticed across this whole album so far, they're implementing a lot of these sort of call and response techniques with the instrumentals and the vocals both. Like they'll take it back and forth between the high and the low. One instrument will make a sound and then another one will kind of make make a contrasting sound to that. It's just really cool, all of the dynamics they're playing with. All right, moving on to track 9 is Medicine Man. Yeah, there's such a bare bones sound to this song at the beginning. It's very echoey. It's like you're in an empty chamber. Yeah, again, I love the contrasting vocals there. They have like this whispered quality and then they take it up to these highs. And those guitars too, they have this sort of spring-like sound to them. I don't know how they're doing that effect, but it's a lot of fun. That almost sounds like a horse whinnying. That was track 9, Medicine Man. I loved the tone of that one. It was very dark. It had this really pulled in quality with how they were doing the vocals at times. And then they would take it up to these extreme highs where it was almost jarring with its sound, with just how shrill it was. And so much variety with the instrumentals too, which I loved. Just bringing a lot of unique elements to that song. Just some crazy things I wasn't expecting they kept throwing on. But moving on to track 10 is Message in Blood. Sudden change up in the tempo of this song. Again, it's so jarring. It's just unexpected. Some subtle laughing in the background. The song just keeps completely changing direction with its sound. That was track 10, Message in Blood. That one took so many different twists and turns with its sound. It had this amazing sludgy quality to it. The drums were really standing out to me across that whole thing. At times they would have this really deep, rich, sort of heavy quality to them. And then at other points they would take on this really light, like super quick delivery, almost like gunfire going off. And again, just with the sharp contrast between the highs and the lows on that track, they were really playing that up yet again. Up next is track 11 called The Sleep. I love all the twanginess at the start of this one. It kind of sounds like there's a little bit of distortion on these vocals. There's almost this muffledness to them. I love the dual vocals there, the harmonizing. Again, it's such a contrast. You have one that's so high, and then the other one has this darkness to it. Yeah, I love that tone in the background, just bringing like this touch of melodicness, sort of an acoustic quality to this song. That was track 11, The Sleep. I loved how they utilized a lot of more gentle instrumentation on that one with the acoustic guitar, it sounded like at the beginning, and then they had some sort of instrument. I don't know if it was like a harpsichord or something, I couldn't tell, but later on they fused that with the guitar, and something very pulled in about that one too. It had this gentleness to it, but also a little bit of like an ominous quality. With the vocals especially, I was noticing that he just had like a deeper register to his voice at times, which I actually really enjoyed on that track. But I'm going to move on to the final song on Cowboys From Hell, which is track 12, called The Art of Shredding. Man, that shrill tone from the guitar, they keep using that. There's so much aggression to his vocal delivery, almost to snarliness. See how they're doing that there? I mentioned earlier on this album how they do that whole call and response thing. Like how he says, this is the art, and then it's like a chorus of people that reply back to shred. I love how they do that back and forth a lot. That was track 12, The Art of Shredding. I loved his vocal delivery. Like I said, it just had this sort of snarl to it. Like he brought so much aggression, and a very bass heavy track too, which I'm not mad about. I loved the tone of that bass. It just really brought a great weight to that song. And then the guitars kind of just rose up out of that and did all of their craziness, like with that solo there toward the end and those boingy sounds they were making. Just a lot of variety with the sounds, and a really, really fun track to bring the album to a close. Well, that concludes my reaction to Cowboys From Hell, the 5th studio album from Pantera. This thing was absolutely wild to listen to. There was so much variety. I love how they fused this sort of speedy, like really smooth quality to their music with a sort of sludginess and a lot of heaviness too. Track 1, Cowboys From Hell, was just a fantastic opener to this album. So much energy, and I loved his vocal delivery on that one too. And then track 5, Cemetery Gates, was one of my favorites also, with how that one was a little bit more pulled in, more melodic at times, but then they still brought so much aggression. And I also weirdly enjoyed track 9, Medicine Man. That one was kind of different. It had this really pulled in, kind of eerie tone to it. But this entire album was so entertaining to listen to, a lot of fun, and another great addition to Pantera's discography. Be sure to let me know down in the comments which Pantera album you want me to check out next. And yeah, as usual, thank you all so much for watching. Stay tuned, and I will see you in the next video.